I know one thing, Joey Aguilar played better the last 2 years than Nico did.
He did. ESPN analyst Tom Luginbill joins us to discuss what's going on in the transfer portal, who he likes the most at quarterback in this draft, and so much more on the Tuesday edition of Locker Room Talk. As usual, when it comes to Locker Room Talk, we love to bring you a stacked guest list. And yes, we've come through again, and this time with our buddy college football ESPN analyst. You can catch him on the ACC network pretty much anywhere where college football is happening. Tom Luginbill. Lugs, what's up, buddy?
Big Lugs.
How we doing, boys? Everybody doing good? Happy Easter?
Doing fantastic. I think everybody's ready for kickoff, but at least we got the draft coming up, and the transfer portal obviously never ends. I do quickly before we get started because I want to ask you about the transfer portal in general, but this Nico, UCLA drama, and now with Joey Aguilar. What is the best potato chip there is, in your opinion? We were having this debate before. Just quickly, what is the best potato chip?
Take your time, Tom.
I think it's Golden Flake, Sweet Heat, the barbecue chips. Blaine likes the sweet chili lime.
The sweet spicy chili Doritos, purple bag.
I don't even know what Cones is.
I don't know if I'm well versed enough to be able to come up with manufacturers. Obviously, living in the South, Golden Flake, obviously I get. Mm-hmm. But if you were to say flavor, I'd probably say salt and vinegar.
Ooh. That's almost a go-to take right there.
It's a go-to staple.
Yeah.
It's like having Maker's Mark readily available. It's like a daily.
I like
that's like the knuckleball pitcher of chips. I didn't expect him to come out with.
Is it?
Cody, what is yours? What is yours?
I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this. Maybe Pringles or no
get out.
The Cool Ranch Dorito is pretty hard to turn down.
That's not a potato chip.
Is it not?
A Pringle?
A Dorito?
You don't consider Doritos potato chips?
What is it?
Who knows what it is?
Is it not a chip?
Corn.
I'm looking it up as we speak.
Not potato chips.
Wow. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. We got to let our research and development team figure that out. But Tom, I got to start in the transfer portal, man. I know we got the draft coming up on Thursday. Yeah. And want your insight on especially the quarterback position. Look, we've talked about what's wrong with NIL and the transfer portal and all these guys getting in and out. But this Nico situation, I would say this is the second time that there's been a kind of continuous outrage from the whole college football community. The first time was when Sluka from UNLV basically just sat out the season.
I know one thing, Joey Aguilar played better the last 2 years than Nico did.
He did. Threw for what, over 6,000 yards, like 60 touchdowns? I know it's the Sun Belt, but just where do you fall on this, man?
As I've been saying all week, this was inevitable. Whether it was Nico or somebody else, this was bound to happen because when you go down this path of an open market, ungoverned, unpoliced free agency, and then you get somebody that gets over their skis in terms of overestimating their value, like we have in this certain situation. This was going to happen. I'm actually glad it's happened. I'm glad it's happened to this magnitude because what I want it to do is to send a ripple effect throughout college athletics to players and people in their corner, their camp, their representatives, and I use that term loosely.
Yeah.
Need to start rethinking how they manage this, how they approach it, how they attack it, because this was something from my perspective, and I've said this to multiple outlets who've asked me about it. I felt coming out of the 2023 class that Nico was a top 5 overall talent in terms of physical ability. Physical ability, all right? We ranked him at 23. Why? For this exact reason. Because you could see this one coming a mile away. And it's been my experience over the last 20 years, when you have these types of scenarios brewing throughout the recruiting process, they don't dissipate and go away once you hit the next level. And, for me, I feel for the kid to some degree because I'm going to defend him here. He's a redshirt freshman. He kind of played like a redshirt freshman. It would be understandable if, as a junior and having started a year or two, he goes out and plays in a mediocre fashion. That's not what happened here. No. But he certainly didn't play to the level of $2 million and without question had no business trying to negotiate anything above that. And so this is an example of the open market backfiring and treating it the way it needed to be treated. I hope everybody else takes heed of this so that they think twice about how they manage or they approach this. Listen, I think he's a talented guy. I think he has got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He just left a roster that's got good and great players across the board to a complete and total rebuild that has basically everybody that had been a contributor in significant fashion a year ago is now gone. So now more of the weight is on his shoulders for him to perform at a level that he has yet to prove he can perform at. Yeah. And that's not having the best personnel around him as he would have at Tennessee.
Yeah. Quickly, Tom, do you think this could actually work out better for Tennessee? Do you think Joey Aguilar could be better than what Nico was going to be this next year? Where do you kind of stack those two up?
So, I've had Joey Aguilar doing midweek MAC games over the last 2 years. I think I've had App State 3 times. And all 3 times I came away with the same sentiment. This guy's ridiculously talented with a gunslinger mentality, lets it rip, but also will take dumb risks with the football because of that same mentality. Mm-hmm. So is he gifted enough? Is he experienced enough? Could he bring a swagger, a confidence, a level of production to the offense at Tennessee? Absolutely he could. Could he minimize and be more risk averse is the question that I would ask, because the consistency when it comes to minimizing those types of decisions has got to be leveled out if he were to be at a place like Tennessee or playing in the SEC.
No doubt. I wonder if that offense would help him out a little bit of that too.
Well, is he already conceding that Nico is a superior quarterback if he's transferring out of UCLA?
I mean, I feel like, again, it's just like anything in the media, however you spin it. On one hand, yeah, you could spin it as, well, he's afraid of competition and Nico's going to come in there and he doesn't think he's as good, which makes him look weak. Or you use, if you're on his side, well, you guys, y'all brought me in here. I'm from Antioch, California. I was brought in here to be the guy. We go through spring practice, and then all of a sudden you drop a new quarterback in here.
Right.
Like this wasn't part of the plan. Mm-hmm. So I think beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
No, I get that for sure. Tom, on the Nico situation, one line that we've been hearing a lot is that, Nico's performance last season didn't meet his contract demands or the monetary demands that he was expecting from Tennessee. I want to think past that. I mean, what if they did? What if he was the best player in college football last year and said, you know what, I want to make $20 million this year? What then? I mean, I'm thinking a bigger NIL discussion here in terms of, it seems like the kids at any point can demand more money, but if your performance wasn't up to snuff last year, can the school get some money back from you? Of course not. So, how is this all going to get worked out?
Well, the example you're pointing to is Malik Murphy at Duke. I think they went to Malik Murphy and said, listen, your performance was not to the level of your earnings, and we want to either restructure or, make a downgrade in terms of compensation. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, that's fine. Then you go on somewhere else. So it is a two-way street, and it should be a two-way street. And there are lessons to be learned here. I am all for guys making money. I'm all for guys making every cent they can possibly bring in, particularly in this window where the player has all of the leverage, basically has a situation where I want to get everything I can get. I don't care what anybody else gets, because there's no CBA, there's no collective bargaining, there's no agreement amongst parties that, hey, we're going to give and take and you're going to give and take, and then we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. During this window, this is a great opportunity for these players. And if you've been a player who has been an elite level player, because there's not a CBA, because there's not a contract with binding buyouts and all of these sorts of things that we have with players, why wouldn't you go back to the drawing table and say, hey, listen, I want to see what my value is on the open market. I just had an All-American season. We won 11 games or what have you. We were in the college football playoff. Individually, statistically, I lit the world on fire. This is what I'm going to go do and check it out. And, I'd love to stay here too if it works out. And let's see where you guys come to the table. That's not what happened with Nico. In fact, it's hard to name a single person in college football so far that has had a season like that and went and did, David, exactly what you're talking about. Because that's my issue with all of this. This is supposed to be based off of name, image, and likeness, not pay for play. What is your value? Okay. What is your marketability? And then how do you generate that value and marketability? You know how you do it? You either do it through some talent on social media that generates followers, or you perform to the highest possible level you can. All right. And now you have all the leverage to negotiate because you've backed up your end of the bargain. What we're seeing in college football is gimme, gimme, gimme. I want this, I want that. And nobody's done anything. That's the issue.
With the uncertainty surrounding tariffs, families across the country are potentially facing another wave of price increases at the grocery store. But there's good news. Just hold on tight, because GoodRanchers.com is completely tariff-proof thanks to their 100% American supply chain. You'll get stable prices for high-quality meat grown right here in the good old USA without worrying about tariff-related price hikes. You know, the average family throws away $500 worth of meat and seafood every year. Well, Good Ranchers helps you avoid this waste with their vacuum-sealed, individually wrapped cuts that stay fresh for a year in your freezer. Plus, their cuts are pre-trimmed by professional butchers, meaning you only pay for meat you'll actually eat. No more trimming 10% off before cooking. You'll get more value with every bite. We've all used Good Rangers for the past 3 years. It is a fantastic product, and they always come through in the clutch. So here's an amazing offer. Visit GoodRanchers.com right now and use our code BOOSTER to get $40 off your order plus free meat for life when you subscribe. Choose from free ground beef, wild-caught salmon, seed oil-free chicken nuggets, or bacon in every box forever. That's $300 of free meat every year for as long as you stay subscribed. So in a world full of constant change, your mealtime can stay consistent and affordable. Visit GoodRanchers.com today. Use code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, for $40 off and free meat for life. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered.
There's some other really intriguing quarterback battles across the country, and we talked about it last week. I mean, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, there's a ton of them. Which of these quarterback battles are you tracking the most closely, and which one do you think will be the most intriguing at the end of the day?
I was really surprised to see Steve Angeli enter the transfer portal. And the reason why is when he played really well. And he got them out of trouble. He showed command of the offense. You could see that he had a nice feel for it. There were some leadership traits there. And so that one surprised me, meaning that the depth chart's in flux. And obviously some people have made some moves, whether it's Minchie, whether it's CJ Carr. That one I was surprised to see. I think Julian Sain's going to be the quarterback at Ohio State. He's one of those guys that if you looked at him, in fact, if you walked in your door right now and you had to pick 100 guys as to who is a quarterback at Ohio State, he'd probably be the last guy you'd point out. I mean, he's about 5'11", weighs nothing, but all he does is make plays, man. And he's a gamer, and he's going to have great players around him, which is a huge luxury for a young quarterback. He's not going to have to wear an S on his chest. I think that one's really big. You know, this past weekend with the Michigan spring game, and I know, David, you're spending, close time on this and paying attention to it. I thought the Mikey Keene addition in the offseason was a really strong one because it gave you veteran leadership. It gave you valuable reps. It gave you experience at the collegiate level. So you've got a guy that if the live bulbs are flying by, is not going to flinch. And then you've got this tremendously talented true freshman in Bryce Underwood. But the problem is no matter how talented you are, and I've said this for 20 years. I played the position. I coached the position. You can be uber talented. You have no idea what that jump is from high school to college. You think you do, but you don't. And things are moving a million miles an hour, and you've got all of these auxiliary things going on around you, and now so more than ever, because when we were coming up and going through it, you didn't worry about the internet. You didn't worry about what was being stated about you. You didn't have to handle any of that stuff. Now, the pressure that's on you to perform, you're trying to get acclimated on campus, you're away from home, you've got to enroll academically. There are a lot of things that have nothing to do with football that can really weigh on you and can affect the best of the best. And that's why different players develop at different times. So I always sit back with freshman quarterbacks and I say, hey, listen, there are going to be bumps in the road. Don't act like there's not going to. But don't define that player by the bumps in the road because he's a puppy and he hasn't played yet. And let's see how he comes along slowly. So I think Bryce is going to be fine over the course of time. He's got a tremendous amount of pressure on him. I think that's unfortunate to some degree. I think the Alabama quarterback race is going to be interesting. I give Ty Simpson a ton of credit because he's had multiple opportunities as a high-profile recruit to leave and go somewhere else. He hasn't done that. He's stuck it out. He's battled. He's trying to earn the job. I just respect the hell out of that with this young man. 99% of the kids in college right now at that position would not do what he has done. And then we'll see how whether it's Austin Reed or Keelan Russell, the young guy, come along. But Ty Simpson, I think, should have the respect of his football team because he's hung around.
Yeah. No doubt. Tom, quickly, and Cone, I mean, we've all watched this. With these young quarterbacks, how much – because, man, I remember when I was growing up, early enrolling was, like, rare. Like, you'd have some guys that were able to early enroll and go through spring as freshmen. But now, like, everybody's doing it. I mean, you look at now the new signing period and guys in multiple positions are – how – I know, obviously, the real game and practice are different, even during team drills, even during scrimmages. But how much has that boosted the readiness level, at least from a speed standpoint? Like, if you're Bryce Underwood – like being able to go through spring and watching those guys on defense run around has got to put you in a much better position than showing up in the summer, going through fall camp, trying to learn the ins and outs, and then going and playing. How much has that sped up the development process?
I think significantly, regardless of position, but particularly at the quarterback spot. And, you know, if you start to look at it and you break it down into months, okay, so you're going to sit there and say, okay, well, this young man's going to be a mid-year enrollee. He's going to enroll in January, all right? He has no idea who his teammates are. He has no idea which building his class is in. He's got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning for winter workouts. They're putting you through the fourth quarter program. You're trying to make friends. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do academically. You've got this multitude of factors that are constantly in your orbit that you're having to deal with. This is before you even get to spring football. All right. So now you get to spring football. You're a few months in. All right. You know where your first class is. You know where your fourth class is. You know where the building is, the study hall, the weight room, the training room, the nutrition room, all of these different things that you're trying to acclimate. Now you get into those 15 days. And then that's where I think the real eye-opening moments come with, okay, athletically, this is a whole different animal, right? So now you've got that in your mind. Mentally, you're trying to learn an offense where 90% of the time from high school to college, you're going to be asked to do things and know things that you've probably never even heard of before. So you got that on your shoulders. Then you go into the summer conditioning and now come into fall camp. And I think between January and getting to that fall camp, you are an entirely different person.
Yeah.
And you're an entirely different player than the normal run-of-the-mill true freshman who is arriving that first week in August and is stepping on campus for the first time. So I think it's absolutely invaluable. But for the most part, not because of the football or the X's and O or the physical ability, it's all of the other things.
Yeah.
It's time management, it's maturity, it's all of those sorts of things. Like people ask me all the time, why do guys fail? It ain't talent. It's not God-given ability. It's some other variable that they either can't handle, are struggling to handle, or haven't figured out how to handle yet.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well, Tom, I got a couple questions for you here. The first thing I want to start off with, going back to kind of this Nico situation, is Nico has a mediocre year, all right? It goes into the portal wanting more money, and he doesn't get it, and the market does what it does. But I watched Carson Beck regress at Georgia, all right? Go into the portal and get $4 million from Miami. I just want to get, what's your thoughts on that? Did you just think Miami overpaid for that guy?
I think everybody in college football is overpaid. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, let me ask you guys something. Have you seen a quarterback, let's just say in the last 3 years, have you seen a quarterback that's worth every cent of $2 million from a performance standpoint?
I would say Jaden Daniels.
Stetson Bennett.
I would say Jaden Daniels because and I know
fair.
he had help around him, but like his running ability, I mean, that man and that on that team where y'all couldn't tackle a math problem in a third grade classroom, that man was worth to me, but it's very, very rare.
But he went 9-3.
rare.
He went 9-3 with 2 other first-round receivers. So again, like what's the ROI? I mean, if we're talking money, you got to talk about return on investment. Where are they making their money back? Did LSU get their money back? I guess is my question on that.
Oh, did Nico get their money back, or did Tennessee get their money back on Nico? No. I mean, the performance and the rate of return wasn't anywhere near the compensation. And so I think Bryce Young was another great example of somebody that went out and earned every penny, whatever penny he had, whatever penny he got, he earned it. I always tongue-in-cheek, jokingly ask the question, who's more disappointed in DJ Uiagalelei? Dabo Sweeney or Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay?
That's exactly right.
So, and that's valid. And so the problem in Blaine, to answer your question, this is the issue when you don't have public documents and public records through a collective bargaining agreement of what the market is based off of what everybody in the league is earning. So in the National Football League, when a running back goes out on the market, they know the top paid running back, all of his production, then the next tier and the next tier and the next tier, all the way down. So the market's been set. You kind of know what tier you're likely going to fit in. Who has set this market in college football?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at some point or another, are independently wealthy people who have money pouring out of their pockets sooner or later going to get to a point where they say, wait a minute, what am I getting in return for this? Why are we paying so much money?
Yeah.
So at some point or another, I think that moment's coming too. But I think my push is like when Matt Rule said last year, and I'm not saying he's wrong, he was probably right, because that looks like what the market dictates. So, well, it's going to cost you $1.5 to $2 million now to get a quarterback in the portal. And I said, name one. Like, if that's the number, who set that number? Where has there been somebody from a performance perspective that has played to that level? And like you said, Jake, Jaden Daniels, Bryce Young, maybe a handful of others, but there ain't many.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Boise State gave Ashton Genty, but if anybody was worth a lot of money for a team, I mean, that guy.
They gave him Boise State
2 bologna sandwiches and a gift card, Amazon gift card, but it's rare, man. It's rare.
Well, Tom,
Really
I would be remiss. So obviously Thursday we have the NFL draft. I'm gonna get your thoughts. We kind of hit it earlier today. We know Cam Ward is going first overall right now. I think he's minus 20,000 odds. He's the best quarterback in the draft. I think we all know that. But then the question comes down to who's the second best quarterback in the draft? Is it Shedeur Sanders? Is it Jackson Dart? I kind of want to get your thoughts on where you're leaning on who is better and why.
Well, Jackson Dart has started more games, won more games, played against better competition, and has been remarkably productive. Did not take anywhere near the pressures or the sacks, is a better runner. I think there's a lot of credence to say that there's a reason why he is, crawled up draft boards.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to diminish Shedeur Sanders. I think with Shedeur Sanders, and I'm going to defend him here a little bit because I think he's so ultra competitive that the bad habits that he has, he played himself into. Because if he doesn't make a play or if he doesn't do something, then they're either 3 and out or they've had 4 or 5 plays and they're punting, and now that defense for Colorado is going on the field. That's not good. I think he pressed a lot. I think he put a tremendous amount of pressure on himself to do more than he should have, which led to holding on to the football, taking sacks, and taking unnecessary hits. All 3 of those things will get your head knocked off in the National Football League. So I think he's got to iron out some bad habits, but his competitive temperament, his mental and physical toughness is, I think, at an 11. So it's going to be interesting to see, how he materializes. He's really been through it. I mean, obviously, he's used to having the spotlight on him. He's now tasted success and failure, which I think is a good thing for him as he moves on to the next level. But what's interesting, and I hear people talk about this all the time, and I agree with it, is it's not a great quarterback class. There's a pretty big drop-off. If you need a quarterback, you're likely going to take one, but you're going to have to stretch to do it, and you probably don't want to do that. And then there's this dude over here at Louisville named Tyler Shuck. And I'll be the first one to say I am Tyler Shuck kryptonite because I happen to be on the broadcast on 2 of his season-ending injuries in 2 separate seasons. Okay?
Mm.
And if Tyler Shuck had not been injured and had played, 4 consecutive years, I think he might be a first-round draft choice in this draft.
Wow.
The problem is he's got a distinct history of injury.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a red flag that for some people they can't get over, and they'll stay away from it, especially at the quarterback position. But I think he's really good, and I think he's really talented. He just had to take a different path to where he got to. But that's a guy that in a quarterback group that everybody's ho-hum on could be the biggest sleeper in the draft.
Do you think he goes before Milroe?
I would take him before Milroe. I think he's far more consistently accurate, far more consistent in the passing game as a whole. Jalen, for me, is such a special athlete. I just don't know if the accuracy and consistencies in the passing game development, I don't know if you can get away with that at the next level.
Yeah, I think Jalen Milroe's the worst Justin Fields.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's crazy.
Justin was far more polished.
Yeah, I think Justin's a more natural passer than what Jalen is. And like I've said, I mean, the two dual threat athletes in this draft I'm the most excited about are Travis Hunter and Jalen Milroe. I just don't know if anybody's told Jalen that yet. I did wonder, too, if the Tyler Shuck stuff was more of the, hey, it's draft week propaganda. Throw this out here to try and, especially if, because we see some people put information out there, but you go back and watch the tape, the dude's slinging it, but the Carfax is so important, Tom. I mean, it's just, if you're going to pump that type of money into a guy, he can't stay healthy. I mean, who knows? But you think the Tyler Shuck hype is for real?
Yeah, because I think the physical attributes, the knowledge, the acumen, the aptitude is all there. And listen, this isn't a coincidence. There's a reason why Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels hit the ground running. Well, you play 5 or 6 years of college football, you've pretty much seen everything, and you're far more prepared to enter that next level. And I think you get a little bit of that with Tyler Shuck. He's mature, he's older, he's married. He's had to take a difficult path and just kind of grinded through. And I'll say this last year, whether this was a Jeff Brom mandate or just maturity on behalf of the player, he really protected himself well. There was an opportunity to get a few yards. Great. Get down. There's an opportunity to avoid a negative play. Great. Throw the ball away. Don't run and lower your shoulder. He showed the ability to make that transition, which I think gives him value, and it couldn't have come at a better time than his last year of eligibility.
Yeah. The case you're making for Tyler Shuck is the same one I made a year ago for Michael Penix Jr. I thought the physical and mental attributes that he brought to the table made up for all of the injuries that he had, both at Indiana before he even got to Washington, and then had 2 4,500 passing yard years after all those injuries. So he had a little bit of time to make up for that. I do want to ask you, since Blaine brought up Shedeur Sanders, what do you make of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter getting their numbers, not just their jerseys, but their numbers retired at Colorado 3 months after their season ended?
I don't agree with it. And I've heard multiple people affiliated with the University of Colorado, former alumni, that don't agree with it either and have voiced their opinion. For Cordell Stewart not to have his jersey retired, for Darian Hagan, Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, Tim Tebow doesn't have his jersey retired.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but again, this is the environment that we're in with that program. And while I understand that it brought notoriety, attention, they had a good year this past year. I mean, he was 13-12. I don't know. Did they beat anybody that was ranked?
North Dakota State was ranked at FCS.
Yeah, they should have lost that game, by the way. But anyway, I think it's great for the kids and good for them. That's a lasting moment that they'll be telling their grandkids and those grandkids about. But I didn't think it was warranted.
Yeah, we agree with you there. Well, Tom, it's always a lasting moment when you join us, my friend. It's been too long. Hopefully we'll blink twice and kickoff will be just around the corner. But thanks again so much for joining us, man. Hope you had a fantastic Easter weekend, and we always love talking to you.
Absolutely, man. Good to be with you guys, and I hope you had a great Easter as well.
All right, Luke. You're the best.
See you, buddy.
Locker Room Talk Tuesday edition. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you on Wednesday on Crain.